Hi, welcome to Morning Afterglow. This past Sunday we looked at 1 Chronicles chapter 16 verses 8 through 14 on the subject of thanksgiving. And I know that that is a unique passage of Scripture to turn to talk about thanksgiving. But I thought that it really gave a good biblical context to think about and couch our thinking together as Christians regarding really what true Christian thanksgiving is and the ingredients that make up Christian thanksgiving. There, in the context of 1 Chronicles 16, David is rejoicing because the Ark of the Covenant is being brought back to Jerusalem. It's been gone. It was taken by the Philistines, but it's being brought back. And David rejoices because the Ark of the Covenant represents God. It represents the presence of God. It represents the covenant of God. And it represents the fact that God is with them in power and glory as God's people. And so for the Ark to be there was really a big thing. And David just celebrated, and he commanded the people to celebrate, and they gave burnt offerings and peace offerings, and they celebrated God. And in that passage, I see some key items that make up Thanksgiving, whether it's in David's day or our day. First, they magnified God. They really put the spotlight on God. They thought about Him, not about themselves. They thought about what God did, and over, David talks about there, or the one who talked about that psalm or wrote that psalm, talked about God and all that God did, the deeds of the Lord. It was remarkable. The spotlight, the emphasis was on God. And they worshiped God. They lifted Him up and exalted Him and celebrated the covenant of God. And they put their hope in God. They talked about God as being their God. And His judgments cover all the earth. They said, seek the Lord, seek His strength. There's hope in that because they say those things and they do those things because they believe it matters, that God will help them. And there's one other thing there. They loved God as God's people. The psalm said, seek the Lord, seek His face continually. Seeking the face of God means seeking the presence of God, seeking to be with God because you love the Lord. All of these items are couched in the idea of God's covenant and salvation redemptively that God had provided for Israel. And I think about you and me as we thank God this Thanksgiving, that the context of being thankful to the Lord is believing and knowing that we're saved. We're God's people, saved by the covenant of His redemption, fulfilled in and through Jesus Christ on the cross and in the resurrection. And on the worst day, that gives us reason to rejoice. Magnify the Lord, worship the Lord, have hope in the Lord, love the Lord, because we're God's covenant people, saved by the Lord. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time on Morning Afterglow.